Hello and welcome to Garrison Archangel Wednesday Warzone. This is the producer Paolo-san or P-san, and welcome to Wednesday Warzone. And like I said, there's going to be a surprise for you guys today. It's just off screen, but there's a new weapon. Two new weapons actually we're going to feature for today's Wednesday Warzone. Now that we finished up our goals for single player mode, like I said, the remaining time we have for development will be dedicated to cleaning up basically missions mode and mechanics in the game and revisiting the what do you call this, the multiplayer aspect of the game. We'll try to at least smoothen out the net code for peer-to-peer play. For now, we've been telling people to play split screen via the Steam Remote Play service. So that's enough about that. From that intro, basically we're free to do a lot of things from now till we plan to release. While we're fixing mechanics, we're also able to basically release a new batch of weapons before we finish up the game, basically. And this is one of the new weapons. I was actually working on this. I was a bit late. I missed the time. How sad. I was actually working on this while we were waiting. That's why I was 3 minutes late. But anyway, it's a new Shenji weapon, and it's called the Sun Shooter. If you look at the name of the mech, it's Hoyi, which is an actual, like, he's a mythical figure. He's a well-known archer. The Sun Shooter is a railgun created by the Shenji Corporation, and it was actually made even before they were, when they were still a state-owned manufacturer for a defunct space nation called Tian. It's part of the game's lore that Shenji was actually part of the Tian nation, which was annexed by the Solar Empire, which the Solar Empire basically rules all of the human race in the galaxy. So Shenji before then was part of a nation that basically didn't accept the rule of the Solar Empire, and they made the Sun Shooter. It was actually one of their top secret real weapons made for Archangel use, and that's the weapon you're seeing on the right hand of this Archangel. And it's a railgun, but like I was saying in the Discord, it's not a railgun in the way you expect, because we have a railgun in the game called Gram. The Sun Shooter is a railgun, but the mechanics are actually a bit different, yet also similar. The Hoyi, you basically hold to charge, and it looks like a crossbow, and it fires a bolt at the enemy. But do you notice how the bolt is behaving? The bolt actually bounces off surfaces, and it will bounce more if you charge it for longer. So it's not very impressive because the enemy is like standing there. But if you fight an enemy who's moving with the bouncing shot of the Sun Shooter, it can get really hectic and really cool to watch. And the fun thing about it is, even if you're charging, because the bullets are delayed, you can actually layer them on top of each other. So fire, but the enemy's dead. So I'll have to show you guys what I mean. It's also better to show this with an enemy that's moving, so I'll just pause the game and get out. But yeah, wait. There's actually a secondary function I wanted to show, but I want to show how the bounce shot, the Sun Shooter shot, actually works against an enemy that's moving. So this will be released this week for preview, for testing, because this can get really busted, especially since we changed up how homing lasers work. But as you can see there, it bounces off walls and surfaces, and it actually has a delayed fire. You can do some really cool stuff with it. So this is what I meant by when I was saying at Discord, this is some shonen anime stuff, because if you if you're able to set up the shots against an enemy, for example, you flinch them with a bounce shot, you see that it's like he's being hit from all directions, and it's a very tricky weapon to deal with as a player, because if you're fighting this as a player, you're not usually looking behind you because you're always locked on to the enemy. So this weapon will kind of force them to look behind you more so than the other boomerang weapons. So, like I said, these are the shots layering. Fire, fire, fire. So you see that? That's pretty cool stuff. It opens up lots of combo opportunities. So right now, if you charge it the charge actually determines how long the bullet remains in play and how many times it bounces. So a minimal shot means just one bounce. A shot for about 1 second of charge means maybe 2 bounces, and a full charge of like 3 seconds gives you like four bounces. So it's similar to the homing lasers. It's risky because you have to hold it, but at the same time the reward can be pretty it's a pretty hefty reward, honestly. See that? I hit the enemy 4 times with 1 shot, so it's very useful against enemies who are very mobile and just like to spot dodge all the time. This is less useful, in my opinion, against people who are more consistently moving. This guy has a lot of bullets. Oh my gosh, he's just staying in the air shooting me, and lots of stab. So as you noticed, unlike the homing lasers, this weapon actually deals stab damage, but it's very minimal. It's like each hit is 200, 100, and you can only get like there. You can only hit the enemy 4 times at full charge, so you have to kind of plan your attacks. So it's a very big brain kind of weapon, I guess. And it only works if there's a surface to bounce off of. For certain maps, this might not work. But I guess that's where the second function of this weapon comes in. This is called the Crow Biter. If you see that there's an effect over the enemy on hit, but he died, the second shot, the Crow Biter shot, actually slows down the enemy. It halves their mobility on hit. So the enemy suddenly dodging that. That shot also deals 200 stab damage. It's 1 shot, it doesn't bounce, but the enemy will be less mobile. He'll have half mobility. It's a new debuff we call slow. It's one of the few debuffs in the game outside burning. I'm trying to remember what other debuffs we have outside stun. We don't have any other debuffs like this. So slow, it's useful if you have other weapons like, for example, the stun wore off. It's only 3 seconds, so you gotta plan it accordingly. So a lot of this weapon's capabilities requires a lot of planning. So the crow biter slows the enemy, so you have to set up something that the enemy would have normally dodged, but now they can't dodge it. So maybe swarm missiles, because enemies can just zoom forward with their dash or just attack. So a half mobility will weaken that strategy somewhat. Of course, it also depends if the enemy is a speed build. This guy hardly moves. I think he's armor build. Yeah, so I can just kill him with bounce shots because he's just, standing or hovering in midair. So that's the Sun Shooter. It's a very strategic weapon, I guess. It's also really strong, so I keep joking that GA is a melee focused game, but this is a really strong range tool, because that slow shot and the bounce shot can get really busted. Like if you have 2 of these, you can layer like 6 bouncing shots on the enemy and like trap them. See that's anime stuff. So you can slow the enemy, then set up a bouncing shot, then set up your other shots. Set up inaccurate shots because the enemy's mobility is halved. So it's a very set up weapon, but you can kill with it, especially the bounce shot. That can get crazy really quick. So if you hit the enemy 4 times with a 200, 100, you can deal 800 armor and 400 stab from one shot. Just one 3-second charge shot. See that? Then while he was stunned, I just set up slow. I could easily go into missiles after that. It's just that I wasn't really expecting that to hit, but yeah, this weapon really requires some planning. Okay, so the slow mobility, I'm interested to see what people will do with the slow mobility. I'm thinking nuke, comboing this with nuke might become really strong, or comboing this with Vajra, I think, will become strong. So that's the Sun Shooter. It's a top secret railgun developed by Shenji when they were still fighting the Solar Empire. So this was actually a weapon that took down a lot of the Solar Empire's Legion, Imperial Legion. So now you'll be able to get it for yourself. It'll be one of the starting weapons because one of our what do you call this? One of our policies is if there's a new mechanically if it's a new weapon with a mechanical difference, we make it available for everyone off the bat. You don't need to play single player or unlock it. You'll have this weapon immediately. What you'll unlock, if ever we make it in the future, are alternate companies with similar weapons. So it's basically a skin of the weapon. Of course, in missions mode, there will actually be upgrades to this weapon. There's gonna be a level 2 and a level 3 to it. So you guys might want to play missions mode after we release this to preview and eventually release this to public. So what you're seeing is just the level 1. So there's a level 2 and a level 3, and I'm telling you guys it looks really cool. So can you imagine this with homing lasers? The enemy can't move. There's too much projectiles bouncing all over the place. But unlike the homing lasers, this weapon wants to have a wall to bounce off of. Homing lasers basically fizzle out when they hit the wall, so it's a very different kind of weapon. You want to angle your shots off the wall so that they bounce off like that, just like that. That was pretty big brain. So I can't stop talking about how cool the bounce is. I actually played this with 2. I'll show you guys how crazy it can get. Of course, we're releasing this first for preview because we know this can get really busted, especially at the 200-100 damage. So we're letting people test it out first before we put it out in public. Wait, I'll use double. Like the homing lasers, like I said, well, if you guys are following me on Discord, I've discussed the homing laser change as you don't need it fully charged, you just need to layer lesser charged shots. So here, so I'll use dual sun shooters against the enemy. So as you can see at minimal values, actually, gosh, okay, this is the one I hate, Peacemaker. So as you can see at minimal shots, they don't actually bounce off the wall. You need to kind of hold them for a while before they bounce around. And this enemy is a speed type, so he has a lot of dodges. But you'll see that eventually he also has to overload because there's too much threats to deal with. Of course, he'll probably kill me first because he did that stun lock with the Peacemaker earlier. I wasn't prepared for that. I wasn't paying attention. I was too busy trying to set up my kill. But of course, like I said, the Crowbiter has mobility. If he lets me hit him with it. Damn. Look at that. Gosh. Archaeopteryx strong. So, look at that. He's overloaded. I can just set up my shots on him. Sorry. Oof, that's bad. Damn. Okay, Archaeopteryx. Fine. I respect that. I respect that dual Peacemaker so bad. So I'm not really good at demonstrating it because, you know, Archaeopteryx is showing me up with some dual Peacemaker moves. Oof. So there. it can get crazy, trust me. If this guy wasn't as mobile or had access to some pretty sweet stun locking weapons, oh there, I got him. I beat him with a cross shot. You'd see this screen will be filled with bouncing lasers. So yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to see what you guys do with these sun shooters when we release it on Friday. We'll go for Friday. We'll also try to release them for missions mode so you can unlock level 2 and 3. So that's the sun shooter. The other weapon we're going to release is called the Brahmastra heavy laser, and some people have already seen it in the game. The Brahmastra heavy laser is actually equipped currently on one of our secret mechs, because you can't it's a chance based encounter, and when you encounter that mech, you can't forget the weapon on its back, and it's a weapon we haven't released in the game until now. So this is called the Brahmastra laser cannon. This is developed by Astra. If there's an Astra in the name, it's probably Astra, because Astra actually it's a Hindu term for a projectile weapon used by the gods. So the Brahmastra is actually the Astra used by Brahma, one of the strongest weapons in Hindu mythology. And why do we call it that? We'll demonstrate it. The Brahmastra laser cannon is probably going to be one of the strongest weapons in the game, because it just fires a focused laser beam that tracks the target, and it has quite a long range, so it's going to be one of the most accurate long-range weapons in the game, because it's an instantaneous beam. As soon as that animation finishes, you'll be firing a beam at the opponent. So because of that, and you can see how much damage I dealt, I didn't do anything else but fire 2 Brahmastras at the target, and it's dead. This is my 3rd Brahmastra shot. Of course, it was just tanking that, but even against a moving enemy, it's constant, constant tick-based damage. It's gonna be hard to deal with if you don't have a lot of boost to get out of the way. So it's gonna be the only other back weapon currently that'll be at 2,000 weight alongside the Balang Araw. And it's for a good reason, because the Balang Araw deals a lot of damage if you leave it alone. Although I said it's a very accurate weapon, it's only accurate if the enemy lets you hit him with it at long range. But let's say the enemy is overloaded at long range, it's very likely to just hit him, even if he moves around a bit. Oof. So that's the other problem of the weapon. It doesn't deal a lot of damage immediately, so you kind of have to plan when you're going to use the Brahmastra cannon. So maybe I shouldn't have fought Insane. It's a bad demonstration. So you can just do that. And as you can see, the laser just tracks. It's just a delayed track, so an enemy moving around can avoid it. It's just that, let's say you flinch an enemy, and then follow up with that, it's just gonna stun him straight. So right now at close range, I'm just trying to melt the guy, and you can see how much damage I actually dealt before I did the Dominus attack. So it's a very tricky weapon to use, because it's not a burst type weapon, but it's very long range. Like, I can fire all the way from here and hit the guy. And enemies can also avoid it by constantly moving, because the tracking of the laser is actually pretty slow. But like I said, as long as you point it, as long as you're locked onto the target and the target doesn't immediately like start moving out of the way, you'll hit it immediately with the laser beam. It doesn't have a travel time. It's basically delayed hit scan is the best way to call it. I'm not sure. It's basically a straight line that just instantly appears as soon as it's activated. Damn, you caught me in the combo. Oh wow. Wow, Dominus really Dominus really got hurt by this nerf, by this change to our mechanics. I'm not sure. Did I discuss it last episode? I did. Okay. If you were here for last Wednesday Warzone, we're experimenting a new kind of overall system for stability. If you get flinched for the first time, you actually suffer what's called a true stun, which is what happened when I was slowing down. A true stun means I can't cancel out during the enemy can't cancel out during the duration of the stun. So it allows for some true combos now. Whereas before, you can't really call things true combos because the enemy at any time can cancel out as long as they have boost. Now, if an enemy is hit with a true stun, you're pretty sure that within that time period you can do something and it'll hit the enemy. So I was commenting on the Dominus really getting hurt by the true stun change because its attacks are so slow that an enemy can actually break out after the true stun counter is over. So that's the payoff. The Dominus has a lot of good things going for it: massive burst damage, massive range, hyper armor. But you'll have to equip something else to combo if you want to combo off a true stun. Like in that case, the enemy actually recovered before I hit him with a F melee. Also, if you're on the receiving end of the Dominus, just make sure you press the cancel button at the right time and you'll probably dodge the second hit easily. So as I demonstrated there, the enemy, if the enemy wasn't like rushing me, I could just beam him until it hits him and he dies. So the Brahmastra may not seem strong, but trust me in terms of just the general accuracy of the weapon. The capability to combo into it from a true stun and deal massive damage. Oh yeah, the Brahmastra also deals more damage the longer you hold it. So you want to kind of hold it, but at the same time not take damage. So just use it in a combo so it's safe. But it also has its uses in long range because it beats out most other long-ranged weapons in terms of usability. So as you can see there, I just kind of just splashed him. Oh. I have a medium shield. I've not been using it. Okay, guard frame, cut. Nope. Stop. Ugh. Oh, got you. Now you die. So it's really strong. It's just start up. Once it starts up, the enemy is bound to be hit. The enemy has to do something dramatic before they can stop you. Like that, like blow me up. Yeah, that's dramatic enough. Okay, so those are the two new weapons. One new back weapon from Astra called the Brahmastra laser cannon, and the Sun Shooter railgun from Shenji for the hand. So we hope you guys are looking forward to this for the end of the week. We're going to release them at least for the garage. For sure, they'll be in the garage. We might release the Hoi for mission. I'm sorry, that's the code name of the weapon before it was called the Sun Shooter when they became part of the Solar Empire. And it's actually symbolic if you know the legend of Hoi, what he actually did, and why it's called the Sun Shooter, given the history that they did fight the Solar Empire. So just little stuff like that. Okay, so that's the weapon. That's a weapon feature for today's Wednesday Warzone. And don't fret if you were like, oh man, Wednesday Warzone's Garrison Archangel's a melee focused game, but both weapons they showed off were ranged weapons. We actually have 3 more weapons we want to show off. Hopefully next week we'll show the rest. Maybe 2 next week, not necessarily the rest, but they'll be providing new gameplay mechanics that you haven't seen before. They're not just gonna be like ranged weapons or straight melee weapons, and they'll also fill in the rest of the slots. So we'll have another rear weapon, another shoulder weapon and another hand weapon to showcase next week. Hopefully, if Wednesday Warzone gets shown next week. We rarely get to do Wednesday Warzones nowadays, and it's because of a number of different factors. But now we were lucky, and we really wanted to show off this new sun shooter weapon because, like I said, it's really. If you mix it, for example, with homing lasers, you can just fill the screen with lasers. Even though technically the projectiles being launched by the sun shooters aren't lasers, they're actually high-speed bolts. So let's go with lasers. But this might not be a fun build because I'll be charging all the time. Might not be fun unless I scum and use high-speed condensers. No, assault condensers, and get ammo expansion. Then just go to town with it, like. Oh no, the enemy's not giving me a chance to act. You're smart. Oh, oof, that hurts. No. Yeah, so it wasn't really good because the enemy's just. It's the charging really hurts this build. So so much for that plan. I got matched up with a charger type enemy. Crowbiter. Okay, nice. Oof. So, yeah, this was a bad matchup. The guy can just rush me and dominus. Anyway, I'll be looking forward to your builds when you get with this weapon. I'm seeing a lot of possible busted things. So this meme build is not doing really well because then we can just run in and dominus. Gosh, and I have to spend so much boost just getting away. Crowbiter. Okay, even if they block, the slow goes into effect. So it might be something worth using just to slow down the enemy. So we did that on purpose, just so there's an alternate. And it's quite a big projectile. If you saw how the projectile hit the enemy, it actually hit him on the side. It didn't hit him like straight on. And it deals 200. So if you need to de-stab an enemy, although it didn't work in this case because the guy was just styling on me. If you need to quickly de-stab an enemy, just know that each of these deals 200 stab damage. So there you go. Nice. That's what I should do. I should just crowbiter. Okay, so yeah, and it only gives you like 3 ammo per reload. Oh, thank you, bounce shot. That came out of nowhere. But swarm missiles. Anyway, that's enough about the weapons. So much for this meme build. Guess you're going back to the drawing board. I'll answer some questions now because this was a sizable like weapon feature. I know people are excited about the things. Yeah. Randomizers activate now. Okay, get ready to get hype. Eat. Holy moly fuckles. I shouldn't say that on air. Okay, here we go. It begins. Obligatory thrusters at full commence charging. Hand click. One of these bloody. Quite a design. New gun. Crossbow. Seems balanced stats. So it shoots a homing laser. Not quite like I explained earlier. Homing lasers fizzle when they hit walls. This weapon loves walls. It'll bounce off them. But the minimal shot won't bounce off a wall. Sick. Well, yeah, it seems broken. So yeah, it does seem broken, doesn't it? But at the same time, the charge really hampers it. I'm saying, I keep showing you guys a guy with melee weapons. If you have nothing to stop him, they'll just charge in and hit. I guess I'll watch the AI try to use it. I'm not expecting much because it doesn't have much in the way of trying to stop people in terms of stab damage, other than the crowbiter shot, which 200 per shot isn't too reliable, especially since the sun shooter only regains 3 per reload. So right now the weight is 1,500 per weapon because we think that's fair. But from what I've observed playing it on my own, we might move it down to 1,250, so it'll take the slot of most reloadable weapons. But that we could just leave it at, honestly, we could just leave it at 1,500 because the potential for it, the potential for shenanigans with it, I think will really be there. There'll be a lot of it, a lot of things, crazy things you can do with it. Like last week, someone showed off boomerang weapons that can combo into railgun. So I'm gonna expect a lot more stuff now, stuff like that. Especially since you can layer several bouncing shots. So I'll go Fisto. Look at all these mech slot 49s. Anyway, yeah, look at all these builds. Hoi, there you go, Hoi. Okay, let's go. So I'll leave it to that and read the questions. Spirit Ball. No, where's the wolf? Weight of that weapon. It's 1.5k in this demo, and we might reduce it to 1.25. Katana is more tuny. So let's focus on one of these. Okay, Hoi. Building, get out of the way. Oh no, this guy has a cool weapon. Hoi, no! Yeah, Hoi, just you can stay there. He died immediately. Poor dude. Anyway, let's just watch them fight and then go. I really like this. What does the outfire do again? It fires a single shot that slows the enemy. Want to upgrade it? Oh, interesting. 5 to the other 3. Nowhere to run. So yeah, it's a really big projectile, the outfire, and it slows the enemy even if they block. So you might want to consider using it if the enemy is like heavily armored. You can really just shut them down by slowing them even if they block the shot. Oh, it broke the map. The camera. Upgrades. Time to upgrade skin. Faster lasers. How does it react to stages without walls? It can bounce off the floor. Stages without walls, they obviously won't bounce. They'll just fly and disappear. But if I remember correctly, you know what? I'll test it. If I'm remembering that correctly, we put invisible barriers in certain maps, so they might bounce off those. So let's try Astral Void. But by design, they won't bounce off. If there are no walls, it won't do anything. So you might want to use, in those stages, just use the minimum shot and the crowbiter outfire. The crowbiter being the slow shot. No. I should have randomed you. Okay, random. Random. There we go. Too far. Okay. So I'll try it because this map actually has an orb-like barrier that prevents you guys from going too far away from each other. So I'll see how I'll observe how it works here. But design-wise, yeah, it shouldn't bounce. It didn't bounce. The barrier is only for players. But this is where you want to use your homing lasers because there are no walls to stop them from doing that to the enemy, what I just did. So, 2 different weapons. One weapon loves walls, the other weapon hates walls. So, use them appropriately, I guess. You want to use this shot because it's really fast. But of course, this one only requires the minimum shot only requires 0.5 seconds, 30 frames of charging, and you can move while charging. So just consider those, I guess. Oh wait, it bounced. Oh, okay. It is behaving. It is bouncing off the invisible barrier. I guess it was too far away the early. So, I guess use it anywhere. Looks like it's usable anywhere, except for maps with skyboxes. I guess don't shoot it at the sky. Oh no. But this guy has a lot more variety of weapons, so leave it up to you guys to find out what you combo with it, because right now it's really hard without any stab weapons. That's the obvious weakness. It looks cool, deals a lot of damage potentially, but the stab damage leaves much to be desired. I'm going separatist on missions. Give me the goods, baby. 1250. Press and hold internal. And Hawkeye are gonna be nuts with this. Yes, they will. That's 1500 weight for sure in function. I'm back. ETAC buffed yet. ETAC doesn't need buffing. It's one of the best weapons. Not much weight for such a small model. ETAC is balanced. Live is 1500. We'll try to make it 1250 because unlike Liberators, this has a problem, like I said, with stability damage, and you have 3 ammo. Liberator gives you up to 9, so you'll be dealing 900 damage with that easily without any upgrades. This time thruster is massive at 750. It's really small. Pod laser. Yeah, Brahmastra. How does it react to a moving opponent? It's delayed, like I showed earlier. If an enemy attempts to dodge, does the laser follow the enemy? It does. It's a worse railgun, yes, but at the same time, like I showed, you can just kind of turn when the enemy's low on health. Just kind of turn it on and hold it, and if the enemy gets hit even once, he's probably dead. And if he's hit like after X seconds of holding that down, you'll probably kill him. Beam weapons. Tracking's a bit fast. Yep. Spirit Omnix. 2000 in Flash. Yes. So that, yeah, I'm seeing people excited for it. So I knew people would be excited. So actually, the railgun was, like I said, that was the chuny. That was the most chuny weapon we've made in a while, because it's like big brain time. Like if you fire several and then the enemy flinches from the first shot, and you see several closing in on him, you'll be like, just as planned. And then the enemy gets hit by all of those, and it's like, wow, I'm like a genius or something. It feels like that. It's that kind of weapon. But of course, like I showed you, it's very easy if you just build around that gimmick. It's very easy to work around. You just kind of slap the guy back, give him a reality check with a Dominus or something, and basically stops. And he has to reconsider his options. He has to equip something else, like shotguns or something, or get a sword, because GA is a melee focused game. So there's that. Live bugs. Even more hype for the mystery weapon and knife. No. Katana is more chewy. Hema 39S Dominus. Heavyweight of the Sun Shooter makes build seem really not applicable. There's no way those can stay 1250. Ramastra sounds really cheesy. It is. Anyway, people saw a bug. I'm thinking against it because these weapons are technically still being tested and fixed. But yes, it can get really ridiculous with the Brahmastra. So I need something lighter weight. This is actually what I was doing last night. I'll show it off to you guys so you can do crazy stuff with them. Um, why'd I jump into the air when the enemy has missiles? And it's Typhoon Oasis, god. No, slow down. Slow down. No, so jumping up doesn't work on swarm missiles. I should have just dodged to the side. Well, so much for that plan. So, not sure if it works on him. Oh yeah, if you guys haven't noticed, we actually changed up the enemy AI. They actually know how to use certain weapons better now. It might still have some bugs, but you guys can test it once this build goes live on preview this Friday. So right now I'm having a hard time dealing with Insane because they don't have the usual weaknesses they used to have. So I'm finding it. I need to build normally. I need to build a normal mech. Or, just do the normal stuff. So, stop. Why do you have so much bullets, Typhoon Oasis? Yeah, he just kind of ignores it and just SMGs me instead. Should cancel out, but he caught me. Like I was saying earlier in Discord, jump thrusters don't have iframes, so I still get caught by rapid weapons. Maybe that was bad. Maybe I should just go with flankers. Or maybe I shouldn't fight an insane opponent for this demonstration. Maybe flankers for iframes, because this is not cutting it. Shoulder. Iframe. Give me the iframes. No, it's up there. Okay. Sidewinder. Maybe I should have a sword. So I can de-stab people. No, but I have committed. I must show off the cool stuff. Just normal. I know, scrubby. Oof. I actually got hit by that railgun. Oh yeah, we investigated railgun. Hopefully it fixes it by next preview build. You can see it. So as soon as the enemy flinches, just kind of... Oh, the enemy flew past. So yeah, I just melted him. But I had a hard time against a normal build because I don't have any swords. But you can see what I was doing with the... See that? That's a sick combo. Sick ranged combos, man. Oh, you got me. 4 bounces. No! No, I was so close. I was doing cool things. Die. Okay. 0 health against a normal enemy, Paolo. Normal enemy. But anyway, yeah, you can see what I can do. You saw that. You all saw that range combo. Oh, it's hard to... Yeah, the railgun's still hard to deal with. The enemy, like I said, the enemy AI has been improved. They'll now hold the railgun for longer. So now I have a harder time. I'm like, I have to read the machine mind. I have to read RNG. I have to kind of read the RNG. When will he shoot? I can't tell. It's literally random. Do I dodge now, later? So, how we hope it makes the AI harder to deal with. Because right now, when the AI is charging his railgun, I'm like, now, later? No, nope, I guessed wrong. He just ran up. I ran up. Nope. Nope. Crow bite. Crow bite. Oh no. Lost to a normal. That's a new low, Paolo. But anyway, yeah, I'm trying to recreate what I did earlier, but I see the enemy stab too, so it's kind of... The railgun's throwing me off, man. Crow bite, crow bite, oh, crow bite. Just a little more, he's gonna flinch. Oh no, lost my chance. Crow bite, crow bite. Got, no, it's not charged yet. Okay. I was hoping it would charge. It's not charged yet. So yeah, that was my poor attempt. Maybe someone else can pull it off better than I can. But at least you guys saw something cool earlier. So once those bullets start flying, you can start doing some cool stuff. Did it end up Pain Box Micro Arena Stage 1? Variant that. Did it end up with that new debuff thing, you guys? My headset works again. Yeah, want to... You're... Like I said, its problem is it's low stab damage, so I'm not sure. It gets crazy when you're able to set it up, but you have to set it up first. Your first shot has to be really good. Well, more polish. Aiming for Friday. Your slows mean nothing to me. You go to casual. Yes, he'll just shoot you. He'll just machine gun you. SMG. Like now, how good the AI. The AI really became better. A lot of the weaknesses I was banking on from previous insane builds, they don't exist. I don't think this build works anymore against them because they'll bypass it. Paolo or weak, haha, Joe. Having shield, needs a shield. Does that mean they can do proper dodging? Yeah, I just don't have a Dominus, okay? If I had a Dominus, they'd die. If I had a melee weapon, they'd die. I can do some sick stuff with it. Will a Dominus work with this? I have really low hull points. My hull points are like 3-8. Gosh, I'll try. But anyway, yeah. This Friday we'll try to release the Sun Shooter, otherwise known internally among the Shanji employees as Hoyi, and we'll try to put in the Brahmastra too. For sure, they'll be available in the garage for people to play. For missions mode, it's a maybe on the Brahmastra, but we'll try to get the Shenji. We'll try to get the Sun Shooter into missions mode as well. So we look forward to that. You'll have to look forward to that. It's pretty cool. This is only level 1, so level 3 it gets decked out. If you see it, you'll just like, wow, this is such a cool Chuni weapon. So actually I wanted to make a reference to one of my favorite visual novels, but the Insane AI is giving me a hard time. Gosh. So unused to an enemy that can deal with stuff. Okay. Bounce. No bounce. Nice block. Nice. Ooh. Should have immediately input. I just needed a melee weapon. That's all I needed, a melee weapon. Well, technically, this guy is also not too... how should I say this? He's not too optimal. I can probably beat whatever he throws out, actually, now that I have a melee weapon. So, see those sick combos? I'm doing combos while the arrows are going back and forth. You can do that. So my meme build earlier is not really good, but with a melee weapon that changes. So like, can you imagine from flinch? Oh no, he bypassed it. That's pretty good. Waiting for that bounce shot. No. Damn. Okay. Ah, maybe I should have slowed him first. Slow. But don't knock him down with the slows because they fade away when they refresh. So you kind of have to do the crow biter secondary attack in the middle of your combo rather than at the end. Only do it if you want to be stylish, I guess. So it's probably unflinch, crow bite, then set up your beam gun. Oh, nice! Nice perfect guard. See that? 1000 damage. He didn't even flinch, I just dealt 1000 damage. Ooh, nice. Okay, now he's just styling on me, doing FB moves. Crow bite. I just said not to use it as a combo finisher, but oh well. That's gonna be fixed. Don't worry about that. So, I guess this is a better demonstration of what you can do with it, but I wanted you guys to experiment. And maybe I should make this a proper Shenji build with only Shenji approved weaponry. None of this Astra Medvedev stuff. Oh no. Nice. Nah. So I don't know why the rifle spear gets bad flak. It's pretty strong, in my opinion. It's a pretty strong melee weapon. It's solid. That forward into side, sure combo. So you have some tech here. Like, did you see earlier the enemy was down, but I was firing it already. That's because, like I said, it increases in intensity as the longer you hold it. So when the enemy wakes up, they're actually going to, the first damage they receive from the laser might actually be stronger than if they just took the starting laser. So, like from this point, yeah, it might have been weaker from the start, but in that case, I could see his stab, so he lost the stab and it just went. I just kind of dealt the damage I meant to deal. So, like I said earlier, the Brahmastra gains damage the longer you hold it, so there's some tech linked to that. But as you can see, the enemies can just boost around it because the tracking is pretty slow. But because it's a held weapon, they can't move all the time. Can they? And this is worse if the enemy likes to shield or just kind of stand still and hope their defenses are good. And he just stood still for me to kind of end him. So I better stop showing off what kind of busted stuff you can do with these two weapons and leave it to you guys. So there's that. It's a shield. I like the rifle spear quite a lot. Pretty cool weapon. Yeah. If I wasn't a Dominus main, I would use the rifle spear because the moveset's really good. And the fact that I can just switch and then suddenly pepper you with bullets out of nowhere, it's not as cool as the Dominus level 1s, 2s, and 3s, but it does its job. So that's it for the two weapons, and I'm reading. What else? With all the weapons to be showed, ooh, I already see something new. This is gonna be fun. Meta made plans for this weekend now, lol. So Maple quad would be a continuous fire weapon. I joke. Yes. People are talking about it. Like I said, if we just made it a straight hit scan weapon, it would be busted, straight busted. Right now, it has some obvious weaknesses, like if the enemy boosts sideways, the laser takes some time to kind of catch up to them. But like I said, because it's a held weapon, if an enemy stops for whatever reason or you catch them off guard, you can just suddenly, get free damage hit. And it's like, after startup is done, the damage hits you because it's just an instant beam. It's not even a traveling beam like the hand rail guns, the sun shooter. So I think the Brahmastra is gonna be really one of the more busted weapons you can build around. We hope its current limitations, like the 30 ammo, and like I said, that you can easily boost around it. We hope that sort of mitigates its potential bustedness. For the sun shooter, right now it's at 1500. We'll leave it at that for now because there's a lot of stupid things you can do with it. But if it's not as effective as we thought, we'll probably make it a 1250 weapon. It's still really strong though, in my opinion. Like I said, put it in a combo with something else, like use the use the use the secondary to slow down enemies for the Brahmastra cannon on the back, or something else like the swarm missiles. They'll probably eat it more. They'll probably eat those weapons more often than if you just use them alone. Because those weapons, like the Brahmastra, if the enemy's moving, the tracking is pretty slow, so it can miss. And the swarm missiles are easy to deal with if you fought them several times. You can just dash in. So with a half mobility, the dashes will be reduced. So people will actually have to spend more boost to do the things, do the usual dodges and evasions for those moves. And yeah, there's a lot of utility the sun shooter brings to the table. Right now, I didn't do a very good demonstration of it outside the basics. I did show you guys what you can do in tandem with an actual melee weapon, though mostly I found the Brahmastra really useful. Like, unflinch, just Brahmastra the guy, and you'll get an easy 2000 damage on them. So that's what I meant by Brahmastra will possibly being busted because of the quick, because of how it works. But we'll see. It's still preview. It's not final. It's not public. Stuff can change, and we'll need your help in the community to test these weapons out. And yeah, that segment was all just for those two weapons, and I know how excited everyone was. The other things I wanted to discuss, but they were already shown. We improved the AI. The AI acts much better, but of course, once you have a melee weapon, their old behavior comes in. So because most of our AI is around melee fighting, so if you're able to deal with them back then in melee, you should be able to deal with them now. But at least at ranged, as you saw earlier, they're able to deal with ranged enemies, and they're able to use their ranged weapons better. So they're gonna be a little harder to deal with in the new build. Another thing we changed is here we go. Yeah, I just remembered. We actually changed up how certain things are calculated. The last Wednesday Warzone was 2 weeks ago. Yes, okay. We actually added something called the dash distance. Sorry, no, we officially changed it to dash distance. The dash distance percentage of the dash distance value is now something you can modify by building strength. So strength now gives you melee damage modification. Basically whatever melee damage value you see on the weapon, it multiplies it by, for in the case of this guy, 140%. So he actually hits harder with his melee weapons. On top of that, strength got a new stat that it modifies called dash distance. Now dash distance is also affected in the same way, but it's a percentage that's multiplied on base value that's based on mobility. So you actually need both strength and speed to get a high dash distance. It's just that with max strength, the percentage becomes high enough that your dash distance can beat out speed builds, which will have in turn lower dash distance because they have lower strength. So it's a way to make strength builds even more give them an edge over the recent buffs we did speed and speed and armor. In armor's case, they have passive deflection and lots of stability, which is now very important. As you saw earlier, a lot of my strategies relied on flinching the enemy. If the enemy didn't flinch from my setups, I can't do cool combos. So a lot of the gameplay now is around flinching the enemy. So SMGs can become really strong. Shields are now more important because they give you an extra. They basically give you an alternate stability. So there's a lot of you have to you have to put more value in those weapons that delay stab and delay or deal a lot of stab damage, because those guys will now determine whether you can win a fight or not pretty quickly, unless you're some kind of build that builds like flamethrower and homing lasers, and that's your strategy, sure, because you're dealing damage directly to the armor stat. But stability will be a much more defining factor in the coming builds, because of the true stun and because of the deflection, everyone having passive deflection while they have stability. And as you saw earlier, because of the true stun, you can do combos, and the extended vulnerability means I can flinch you, then unload a Brahmastra until you run out of health, basically run out of health, limited by 30 ammo. So yeah, there's a lot of changes coming. We also changed up how much melee damage you actually gain from strength. We actually reduced how much melee damage you gain from underload. We changed how we reduced it slightly. Before, you can get a 25% bonus to 4 different things. You actually get a reduction to your vulnerability. You get a reduction to your boost drain. You can see here 97.8 is his boost drain mod. That means he only spends 97.8 of his boost whenever he uses it, and that's because he's slightly under what do you call this, underloaded. He has some freeload, so his boosting is more efficient. They also gain some dash distance. There's that 20%, up to 20% that I mentioned. But before, it used to be 25%. That was the max. So we reduced the max you can get from being underloaded. Like if you're completely not equipping anything, you can get only like 20%. You have 20% less vulnerability. You have 20%. Your boost costs are 20% cheaper. Your dash, you gain a 20% increase to dash distance, and you get 20% to your melee damage mod. So that's the new thing. Another thing we're trying out is reducing the actual melee damage mod you get for building strength. And this also actually means that builds that are weak at strength got a slight bump. Before, if you had a build with 4K strength or something to that effect, you actually had a melee damage mod of 80% base. So you had to underload to kind of alleviate that. Now we increase the minimum, or it's not really the minimum, because you can build like 3.880 strength if you mix and match parts. But most builds that are like 4K strength, which is like the Falcon or Mammoth, they'll now have 85% minimum melee damage mod. But strength builds will now only give a base of 130% melee damage mod, whereas before they were giving 140% base. So 7,000 strength gave you 140% before. We reduced it to 130%. For the people who are playing on preview, we also applied that reduction to the dash distance, because strength builds could get crazy dash distance, and coupled with their melee damage modifier, like I was fighting earlier, 39S, they can just zoom across the screen and deal massive damage in one hit. So we had to reduce that. The dash distance really added was basically another, like it basically doubled the effectiveness of strength builds, in my opinion, because you want to build strength so you can hit harder with your swords. And now that you travel way farther than other builds, you will hit with your swords and they will hit hard. So it made strength really powerful. We had to reduce both. We Rather than gimping one or the other, we decided to reduce both overall. So you can still have high, like 130. You get a 30% bonus to your dash and a 30% base bonus to your MDM, which is still high. 30% on top of a dominus hit is probably what? The base dominus is 600. That's still 200-ish. You're adding 200 damage to each hit of the dominus. So, and that's if you're at 100% weight load ratio. So if you underload, you can get even more damage. So there's stuff like that we're experimenting with. We'll also drop this on the preview update, hopefully this Friday, just for you guys to test. Maybe Thursday. No, I don't think we can make it Thursday. Yeah, that's it. That's basically the short gist. I know I was just throwing out math earlier. You guys will feel it once you play around with the stuff coming out this Friday. We feel like it'll reduce the overall craziness of dash distance, and although it may seem like a nerf to strength, which really doesn't deserve a nerf, the dash distance really makes it crazy. So we had to kind of tone it down, and we decided to tone down MDM as well, so that strength builds still feel different in terms of their dash speed. Because if we minimize the dash speed differences too much, it might not even seem to be a thing. People might not even notice the advantage they have, because you can get that sort of dash distance just by equipping thrusters and equipping internals that basically give you additional dash distance. So yeah, so we wanted to give strength a base kind of big jump over the other builds. So I think we've covered everything for Wednesday Warzone, and I think that was like an hour at least of just a weapon and discussing of stats. So let's answer questions again. Maybe Red Blue deserves to be tweaked. Oh, more polish. Just thought of something. Why not make tutorial missions set during the Tian campaign, where each mission teaches you all the mechanics of the game? That's fair, but to be honest, I was thinking of revisiting the Tian campaign, the Tian conflict, outside of just like a one-off thing in the future. But that's cool. Maybe tutorial missions like a simulation of the Tian conflict set in the astral void, and then you're fighting Shenji. It's pretty cool. Paolo confirmed bad at games. Needs a shield. Well, I do boomerang. Well, if you get too parry, you die. Balance changes. As long as they'll break away from time to time now if they have ranged weapons, rather than rubbing their face against an enemy melee opponent, then it's a sizable improvement. Seeing the mech reminded me of something. What are your thoughts on making the Tatzel worm fire like battleship cannons? 2 shots at once, slow firing would eliminate all your stability. Talk about the site. Oh, yeah, we did a lot of changes last week. There were lots of weapons changes last week. We changed up the scythe, although they're really minor. We wanted to make the scythe. Do I mess with little Hoyi here? Okay, let's go. Okay. No. We changed the scythe attack values. For the axe will deal more stability damage, and the scythe will deal more armor damage. But at the same time, we also maintain the what do you call this? The burstiness of the scythe. It deals a lot more stab and armor damage all at once. compared to the well, less burstiness. I don't know what to call it. Basically, the individual damage of the Blue Writer's axe mode is much less than when compared to the scythe, because it's faster. You can pull it off faster. So I'll do it against a dummy just to show you guys. So this is a forward, side, side. That's what you can do with the axe. As you can see, I didn't deal a lot of armor damage, but the enemy flinched. So with the scythe, the enemy's not flinching, but I dealt more damage in just 2 hits. So that's the difference. The scythe mode deals more armor damage, and the axe mode deals more stability damage. So the idea is you want to switch between both modes depending on what you want to do with the enemy. Like if I want to kill the enemy, I just attack him. So if I want to like flinch the enemy, I use the axe. And the axe is really good because it travels pretty far and it's pretty fast. So as you saw there, I basically de-stabbed the guy easily. Like even if it was 3 hits, that was way quicker than if I used the scythe. So yeah, but I can do cool stuff with the scythe. Look how cool I am. And the idea was, so you switch to scythe and then continue the combo if the enemy isn't dead yet. So let's try that again. Okay, so forward, back, transform. Oh no, I was too early. I was too excited. Forward, back. Oh, why didn't that work? Forward, back, scythe. There we go. So the idea was like, yeah, here. You de-stab, then go into scythe mode. Oh yeah, don't input too early on the scythe back because you'll stick to axe on the axe back. Wait for it to transform before you go into your normal combos. So we added that option. We'll just call it tech. So if you're too excited, you'll stick to axe mode, which isn't too bad. Axe has really solid high-speed attacks. So, but the problem is the enemy goes down too quickly. So what you want to do is back, switch. Oh no, I was too excited. Switch. Oh no, oops. I should have done forward axe. So forward, back, switch. Nice. So see that dealt more damage than if I just stuck to axe. So yeah. Anyway, we want you guys to experiment more. I just showed you guys how to do a Blue Triter combo for nice damage. Of course, if you have higher MDM or lower MDM, that could change. For example, if you have lower MDM, it could be the enemy flinches on the 3rd hit, and if the enemy is a high armor build, they'll probably flinch anywhere from the 3rd or 4th hit. So it's up to you guys to experiment. X thruster for now will remain cancel. Will remain a cancel. I know there are people who are asking about the X thruster changes, because the change we did to the thrusters are their maneuvers can now be used to cancel melee attacks. And okay, let's just use this guy. But as a result of their cancel ability, they have a longer cooldown. So as you saw there, I didn't dodge, I didn't spend boost. So the cooldown is much greater than before. Whereas before, they were like every 3 seconds I could use it again. The X thruster basically allows me to jump, so I can cancel it now, but it takes a longer time to do that. Before it wouldn't cancel. I have to actually be in neutral before I can jump like this. But it came out more often. It was more available, so I could use it in between combos. But now we decided, because people were saying that thrusters were useless compared to back weapons, or compared to just not using them, because underloading was really gave a lot of bonuses, which we also reduced, like I discussed earlier. We added the cancel function on top of the mobility. Like as you can see here, my mobility is really insane. Actually, I can really move fast. It also gives me enhanced dash distance. Back thrusters give me 10% dash distance. side shoulder thrusters give you 5%. So if you stack those, you can imagine how crazy your dash distance is. At the same time, the ability of the X thruster, which is a jump, or if I'm in air, dash down, can now be used to cancel attacks. So, like I described earlier, for example, if I'm attacking the enemy and I'm like, oh no, this is not gonna hit, so I can just only do that. I can cancel it without. Normally, you'd spend boost by dodging or dodge canceling. That spends a lot of boost, especially if you're flinch. But with the thruster being a cancel, you can now do cool stuff like that. So I actually dodged there because of habit, but you can actually do. So I didn't spend boost there, but you saw what I did. I forward cancel neutral. I can do stuff like that, or I can do what I did earlier, which was, or I can even do this. So it was a side cancel into another side, or forward cancel into side. So, and that didn't cost boost. So it's a very good alternative to just the dodge canceling. But because of the long cooldown, you might lose track of it. It becomes really important to kind of track it. Like, oh, I have that. I can do. Just kidding, forward, but that missed because my movement was too crazy. So, or if I'm close, whee. Because the enemy is standing there. If he was moving around, it would be different. So, again, let's try something cool. Cancel. No. No. I need to be closer. But anyway, yeah, the sky's the limit. I'm just using the Dominus here, but you can do lots of crazy things like cancel your attacks into missiles. For example, you can already see a mile away that, oh, this attack is not going to hit. I can just cancel, jump into missiles. So, and it's free. It doesn't cost boost. And we hope that makes thrusters more viable, especially if you have two thrusters, since all the thrusters right now can cancel. So I can mess with this guy. I don't. That's not how I color them anyway. So if I have two thrusters, I can actually do two cancels at a time. So it can be really crazy. Except, like I said, the cooldown's pretty long, so you might have to watch out. And you don't actually have iframes while doing these cool, sick moves. Although this isn't a good indication because the enemy is kind of eating my Dominus attacks. Oh no! Bystander. So there, like I showed there, I wasn't actually. I'll try only using cancel. No boosting gameplay. Oh no, it's impossible. The cooldowns are too long. So you still have to use boost, but at least you're using less boost than if you were just using using something else, not using the thrusters, basically. So you can style an enemy like that. So I was like, oh, that's gonna whiff because true stun is over. I can just cancel it and then do another forward from a different angle. And yeah, we hope people use the thrusters more often. It's a very technical thing. It's a very technical weapon. It's different from just equipping missiles, because at least missiles, you'll fire them and then hope they hit, or fire them at a specific angle, at a specific situation, and they'll most likely hit. For these thrusters, you have to kind of mix them with another weapon for them to be effective. They're really supportive, and they're really cheap. They're only like 750 weight for the back weapons and for the back versions, and 500 weight for the shoulder version. So you're getting free cancels for the low price of 500 weight. So just consider that. Of course, the cancels have their own, these abilities, like I said, have their own limitations, like they don't have iframes, whereas a normal dodge cancel has iframes. Iframes being invincibility frames. If you are invincible, an attack just goes straight through you. So The jump thrusters actually don't provide that. As you saw earlier in my failure of a demonstration, I was getting hit by SMGs and whatever because they would continuously rapidly fire and track the entire time. So if I had iframes, the bullets would go through me. But in that case, I was getting hit the entire time I was jumping up. So there's that to consider. Fair point. You're just a slower version. Camera is hard. Strap. Pretty cool weapon. About this. Glad to hear it sounds like the strat that gonna miss those teleport thrusters. Yeah, the charge thrusters are insane. I was fighting 39S earlier and I was like, oh my gosh, I can't do anything against this guy because I didn't have what you call this, a melee weapon to stop his charge attacks. So that's with the reduced dash distances. So imagine how he was like when he still had like 5% more at the very least, 15% more. No worries, man. Keep building. Man, toning down MDF2, bummer. 5% is fine. The Axe mode still feels a bit underwhelming, IMO. But the scythe can get pretty nuts if you have a moderate MDM build. Benefits from lower percents to get more hits. Are too slow. I'm not sure. I like the fact that I can choose to just stay in Axe mode and like just whack the enemy for sure. Right now I can just go into neutral from what I was specifying earlier. Maybe neutral into forward. I just need to lab it a bit more. Can't believe I'm saying lab. You just have to lab it a bit more, I guess. Because neutral, from what I was using earlier, that wasn't a build that was too. I guess my dash speed was pretty large. Hoyu had pretty large dash speed. It's supposed to be only 11 or 110. I'll have to check him out. So my dash distance was 116. That's only slightly different from. Yeah, Lynx is 111. Well, this guy has thrusters, so he's above average. He also has a crazy glow skin. So I guess my dash distance was a little higher than normal. I was hitting the enemies with neutrals off back melee, so I'm not sure. My own findings on the axe side are pretty solid as a weapon. So then F melee to finish off. So it's a matter of just practicing, I guess. Forward, back, transform, neutral. But you have to do forward again, back, transform. Even F melee works. I'm not sure. I think it's okay. Just be patient on the transform. Wait for it to flash before you input. Note on the X thruster. Finally adding that cancel. Looks so fluid now. Okay. Changes and great new weapons looking very good. Thank you. Keep up the great work. Thank you very much. It's a shame, but they feel faster when moving now too. Do the cooldown reducing internals affect the boost cooldown? Yes. Boost meaning your normal boost movement, like just holding down A or the space bar, or the booster, the thrusters on the back. Because if it's the thruster abilities on the back, yes, they affect that on the back or shoulder. But for boost, there's nothing that currently affects the pause of boost. The only things that you can affect with boost right now are raising your boost cooldown or regen right now. The only thing that can affect that is raising your speed. Because raising your speed raises your base boost capacity, and your base boost capacity determines how much boost you regenerate per second. So we don't have anything right now. No, wait, let me confirm. I might have forgotten because I didn't expect that question at this point. Sorry. High-speed condensers affects boost regen. That's the closest thing to boost cooldown. If you're talking about boost, general boost, X was way better than it is with cancel. So yeah, I get you, Robo. What if instead of iframes you gave the side thrusters guard frames? Still 0 damage, but opponents who hit them get a minor stun period, like being blocked by a shield. I don't know about giving them guard thrusters, uh, because that would actually be stronger than an iframe, because you can actually slightly stun people who hit you with light attacks. But at the same, no, actually that's not accurate, because hitting someone who's iframing gives you whiff, makes you whiff, and recoveries on melee weapons are pretty large. So you gain something, you lose something. Guard frames will only punish light attacks, but iframes punish both light and heavy attacks. Whereas a guard frame won't necessarily hurt a heavy attack because the heavy attack will have melee cancel and you can follow it. So I'm not sure why we want to nerf. Now that I say it out loud, I'm not sure why we'd want to nerf flankers or sidewinders. Because right now, people still don't use them despite having such a powerful ability, which is iframe canceling, and it's in place too. It's not a mixed bag like forced repositioning. Like when you saw me earlier with the Dominus coming from above, I kept missing the enemy because their hitbox would be weird. So at least with the flanker thrusters, I'll show you guys. The flanker or sidewinder thrusters don't actually reposition you. They keep you in place but give you a invincibility frame. Oh wow, look at my Mr. Super. Mr. Soups. So there's less worry of that missing from repositioning. And the reposition is a mixed bag really, it depends on where you are. But keeping you in place, at least more or less you're in the position you were prior. There are some cases you want to get out of there, I guess, defensively. But if you're using it offensively to attack, you would like to be in the same place. And if you need to reposition, just dodge forward because you canceled out of your animation anyway. So your dodges cost normal rather than having the cost of a cancel. Shoulder. Let me sidewinder. Okay. So I'll just show you guys the difference. Earlier I was canceling by using the X, but if I was using flankers, I could do stuff like this. So again, ooh, how'd I do that? So there, you see that compared to that one hit, but whoa, I found something really weird. Oh my goodness! Oh, that's a bug. That's a bug, but it's also tech. Anyway, sorry, let me go back. If I use flankers, I don't actually go up or down or sideways or wherever or backwards. So I'm still in the position I was in when I canceled, which is useful, which is neither bad nor good most of the time. It's okay, because at least from that position I can do something. Compared to this is only sometimes good. In that case, it was bad because the enemy's hitbox didn't adjust quickly enough to what I was doing. But if the enemy was moving, he'll probably get hit by that. So compared to that, a flanker generally is okay because I'm more or less level. If I want to reposition, if, for example, I wanted to go up, I can just, that's a dodge cancel. That's while I'm doing an animation and I dodge, that's the cost. But if I can do this, if I cancel using my flank sidewinders, shoulder side thrusters, I actually go into neutral, which means my dodges would be actually cheaper. That's the cost of a normal dodge. It's much lesser than a cancel. That's a cancel. That's way bigger. It's not way bigger. It's bigger. So if I really needed to reposition using sidewinders, I could. Sorry, I made input the wrong thing. I should have dodged. But anyway, the idea is I would have the cost of a normal dodge if I really needed to reposition. See that I spent a normal dodge. I spent the cost of a normal dodge to reposition compared to just canceling. That's a bigger cost. So there's some uses to the flanker or the sidewinder. It's a very technical weapon. I can't recommend it for everyone. If you don't want to think through too much of it, just equip some missiles or whatever. This mostly helps people who have a weapon they're really specialized in. For in this case, I just need the Dominus. Oh wow, so arrogant. I just need Dominus and the SMG. I think I can win anything with that, so I'll just get the extra cancels. There are people who try to do basically the tech I'm describing just by equipping one weapon and nothing else, just so their boost costs are very low. So they underload, so they have a lot of dodges basically. And it's similar to this, but this one has other advantages. Like I said, the thrusters give you enhanced dash. They also give you enhanced boost movement, and they give you free cancels that don't cost boost. So there's a lot of benefits there just for using thrusters, and I'm expecting people who ran underload to just go with thrusters. But if they don't, it's okay, because if you're equipping thrusters, you're actually giving up on other things like your vulnerability being decreased or your melee damage mod. So it's still a balancing act. Maybe they'll keep one thruster around just for the 10% dash bonus. I don't know. It's up to you guys. If you want to keep the cancel, free boost, free cancels, free maneuvers without costing boost, but you want to sacrifice your melee damage and your vulnerability, that's up to you. We leave that up to you. Or if you want, actually also sacrifice your overall boost cost. Your normal boosting cost gets a bonus actually if you're underloaded. So there's that to consider too. Current flacker aesthetics only work for ranged builds. Wasn't seeing it as a nerf due to the stun period. Would force talking about the sidewinders being guard frames. It'll only cost stun, by the way, to light attacks. Not all attacks in the game are light attacks. For example, the Dominus forward and side are power attacks, so they'll actually benefit from a melee cancel if you were guard framing instead of eye framing. I can just input and hit you after your spin is done. That's a bug. It's tech. That's not a bug, that's tech. Maybe add the flankers to the ankles or something. Range of specific attacks. Yeah, like I said, flankers and sidewinders are overall in terms of canceling, they're pretty good because of the iframe. And the fact that you don't move, it's neither good nor bad. The cancel is neither good nor bad. It's just a cancel. Unlike the other thrusters, like moving you backward isn't always good. If, for example, you wanted to do something specific, or moving you upward is not always something you want to do. Just being in place and having iframes beats up most of those things most of the time. Weapons usually. No, that's why all the mechs. No, Vol keeps winning. I'll be real here, because he's always there. He's always at the contest. Like, people can change. People who can fight him might not be present, but the difference is he's always there. So even if a person who can beat him is there, then it's a fair chance. It's like it could be anyone's game, but most of the time, he's there when those people aren't there. So Vol wins because Vol has a lot of mechs in the game because he's always around. It's just that consistency of being at the tournament and actually knowing the game. I won't fault him because he actually does know uh, the game's mechanics and he actually does lab a lot. So even if he misunderstands some mechanics, he actually plays in the lab and sees the effects and he's able to bring it to the tournament. So admittedly, a lot of other players they don't lab to the point Vol has, or if they lab to the point Vol has, they're not always around. So if you if you guys think Vol isn't that good, just appear at the tournament. I'll admit he labs a lot. He labbing meaning he builds and really practices with it. So even if he mixes up some terms, like in the Discord, we have to clarify how mechanics work. Even if he mixes those up, like he misunderstands them, he actually sees the effects and practices with the effects, and that's why he wins because he's really practiced his gimmicks and stuff. So uh, other than that, he's always present. So if you guys wanna win a tournament, please appear at our tournaments and get your ranks in the game. That's all I can say about that. And lab, just practice because we can't explain everything. Like here, I'm saying some theories, but I'm not able to pull them off just yet. It requires a lot more practicing and a lot more tweaking and experimenting. But I am showing off some stuff like earlier with the spear comboing with the Brahmastra. So I think you guys can go from there. Although we can change that up if it becomes too broken. I personally believe that Brahmastra is easily able to do 2000 damage off flinch. So we might have to tweak those values around. So there. Yeah. Tech. Well, damn, I wish I could try it, but there's the whole ocean between us. I know we'll try to fix that. We'll try to fix our multiplayer online so that you guys can play with each other better. But for now, I think Steam, because the players, he's talking about UGZ. UGZ is another player who actually lives overseas. He doesn't live in the Philippines. They're able to play with him thanks to Steam's remote play. So for now, until we fix, or at least until we smoothen out our peer-to-peer multiplayer, you guys can try Steam Remote Play because Steam Remote Play is actually pretty good if both of you are within the same country or both of you have good internet. It does what it does well enough, in my opinion. It's just that I personally don't have really good internet. It's rarely that right now in Wednesday Warzone, I'm able to stream because I'm not at home. So yeah, like I said, if you have good internet, just do Steam Remote Play. If your enemy also has good internet, more or less, you'll have a good experience. We've tried this. We've tried this even with my bad internet, but I had to be in the same country as the host, and the host had to have really good upload speeds. But it's really good once all those things are set. Like both of you have decent internet, and you're both in the same country, at least I guess. It should be a good experience, and I assure you, there are people on Discord who play. You just gotta ask, and you'll probably get one of them. Like Sim and Vol in the chat actually do play from time to time. UGZ, like I said earlier, they name dropped him, plays. But join our Discord channel, and you can schedule games like that and play with other players on multiplayer. Basically, it's our alternate multiplayer option. So I think we've stayed here for too long because I just now realized it's 12 midnight. So I think we should end this. I'll just scan. But we've discussed everything we should discuss. We've discussed the weapons. We've discussed balance changes. We also had a Q&A portion and an actual like answering people's concerns portion. So I think we'll wrap this up now. And let me just check the chat. Gotta play UGZ a lot. Yeah, like I said, Vol practices a lot. I can't fault him for that. He actually labs, and if his build is scummy, he act we call it scummy, but it's basically because he tries to build stuff and practices with it that he's able to pull off scummy builds and find bugs or whatever. So find bugs to abuse or whatever that we have to fix whenever we find them. But in the last few tournaments, he actually won by just having good. He has a good technique. Like when he won with shoutouts to Ash, it basically showed everyone that speed really is an advantage, but it's not something obvious because you really have to play a specific way to make speed really make speed armor build in particular a very hard thing to deal with. So kudos to him. We actually congratulated him because that was actually pretty good. That was an inspired tournament. Like halfway through, he actually went to losers bracket, but at the final battle, he was able to like figure out how to play his mech and play it properly. In the last tournament, there weren't a lot of people, but he actually had a build that was pretty cool. That will be added to the game actually. It'll be replacing the Cosmic Gorgon preset. I know I'll miss that mech design, but Vol has too many mechs in the game, so he has to replace his one of his community basically championship mechs. We made a rule that he can't add any more new mechs, so he decided to replace the Cosmic Gorgon preset, and you'll all be seeing a new Cosmic Gorgon preset soon. It'll play really differently, but it's a very interesting gameplay. If you fought it as a player, it has a certain mind game to it, similar to the railgun stuff earlier, where I was like, I don't know when he'll fire the railgun. It could be now, it could be later, because it's random. Because I'm dealing with an AI RNG. At least with a player, they more or less have tells. But with an AI, it's gonna be hard. I think with this new build, with this new preset Vol is bringing in, given how the AI behaves now, it could present that sort of challenge again. That sort of challenge, a similar challenge that entire, you have no idea what level they're on, if they're gonna attack now, if they're gonna attack later, similar to the railgun. But I'll leave it for you guys to find out on our next preview drop. So look forward to that. There's a lot of things to expect in the next preview drop. There's the 2 new weapons, the new preset, the new change in how strength determines its dash speed and MDM, reduction of underload bonuses. Although most underload builds that are optimized will only lose about 1 to 2%. It only affects the overall, like from a zero load perspective. So there's also changes to weapons, changes to the system, the mechanics of the stability, vulnerability. Oh yeah, another thing that wasn't obvious earlier. If you're invulnerable, if you're in the vulnerable state, you actually regenerate your stability faster. If the enemy doesn't continue with their combos, your stability comes back faster than if you still had above zero stability. So we wanted this so that if people were in the vulnerable state and they canceled out, they had a chance of refreshing their entire stat. Because before that, in the older version of the build, people could be easily stun locked again and again. because even if they canceled out, they couldn't recover all their stab immediately due to the 2 second pause before stability regenerates. So we made it so that if you're in the vulnerable state, if you cancel out, you regenerate faster. The pause is shorter, so enemies are pressured to really combo you, like hit you while you're vulnerable. It pressures them to keep on the attack so that they can knock you down and maximize their damage. Because if you get your stability back, you get your 25% armor damage reduction back, and basically enemies will also want to put you back in flinch because of course you're flinched. Everything costs more. Every hit stops you from whatever you're doing. It's basically a bad state to be in the vulnerable state. So there's that. And what else? I think that's it. It's 12:19. We should end this. Just said it would be. You'll see it in the next preview. Thanks for clearing it up. If scum can bleed, then it's not scum. Voice line children. So much news, yeah. Oh yeah, gosh. Okay, before we end, thanks for reminding me, Discord. We actually also are adjusting up how campaign is because people have been complaining about the late game ghost kill teams stacking up and really making all missions a slog because there are many factions wanting to kill you. So every time you do a mission, every time you do an easy mission for a few credits, there'll probably be like two ghosts on you trying to kill you and extending the mission time. We decided to adjust that. We also adjusted how those kill team ghosts get their upgrades because right now they're always better than you until you're fully upgraded. If you're fully upgraded, then you're equal to them. But as soon as you encounter a ghost, they'll always be better than you until then. So we adjusted that. We reduced that difficulty. We also made it so that upgrading your mech doesn't, because in the old version of the game, upgrading your mech actually makes mission mode harder. It actually ups the mission parameters because our thinking was it should be commensurate with your abilities. So we realized people didn't appreciate that. They didn't feel like they upgraded because everyone suddenly became unfair. So we decided, okay, we'll reduce the factoring of your upgrades towards the difficulty growing. So we wanted to reduce that overall effect. So we want people to feel like if they upgraded, they're upgraded for a while until the turn count catches up to them and enemies naturally upgrade, because turn count actually also determines how hard missions are and how powerful enemies are. So we wanted to reduce the factor on the player upgrades and more on just the turn count, just the passing of game time. But at the same time, we also made it so that enemy ghosts will no longer pause the mission objectives. What do I mean by this? Because in the current version of the game, whenever an enemy ghost kill team attacks, your current mission is paused. So if your mission is like kill 30 guys and you're at 15 guys and you have 30 seconds to kill 15 guys, suddenly the game will pause that mission and an enemy ghost will come in and force you to kill that ghost before you can continue your mission. And we've determined that that's probably what makes people feel like mission mode is a slog, because especially in the later parts of the mission mode, you'll probably have two enemies, like two factions who hate your guts. So they'll be adding two phases. Basically, you have to fight two ghosts. After you kill one ghost, another ghost will appear and then pause the mission again. And then you have to kill that second ghost, then the mission resumes. And then basically it extends simple kill 30 enemy's mission to a really long one with like two phases. So at first we did that so that people can fight the ghost because it's fair. They fight the ghost one on one, basically. Fight one ghost. If you kill that, okay, next ghost. We did that in the spirit of fairness. So if you can kill both those ghosts, you get your health back, resume your mission where you left it. But we found that if it artificially extended the time, so people might get frustrated, people would get frustrated, and they might find it boring because, like I said, you'll always fight one ghost. So if I have two enemies, I'll always fight two ghosts every mission. So we decided we won't pause the mission anymore. We'll just send the ghosts in to mess with you while the mission is ongoing. That means that if you're fighting, if in that same case where you had to kill 15 enemies in 30 seconds because you had to kill 30 enemies and you were at 15, the ghost will come in and you still have 30 seconds to kill those 15 enemies that are remaining while the ghost is basically messing up your mission. And if you had two enemy factions, it's possible that a second ghost will come in. If you failed to kill that first ghost, a second ghost from another faction will come in and basically add to your headaches. We find that this would make it more exciting and give players an alternate option of, I can just avoid these guys, just run to a corner of the map and do my mission there, or kill all my other targets while these guys are trying to kill me. And it means that you can actually finish missions now without dealing with the ghosts. So we give you that option. At the same time, we also make it possible for three ghosts at a time to appear. If you made enemies with everyone, it's going to be very interesting because it's going to be much harder because you made enemies with a lot of people. So they'll be messing with your mission a lot more. And this could have the effect of making certain mission types really hard, like area captures will be really hard because those are usually time sensitive, and enemies in your capture zone actually reduce how much capture time, actually increase your capture time. So having ghosts pop in at that phase can make those missions really hard. So that's the drawback we're expecting from that. Safeguard missions will probably be a little bit easier because at least you're still on the countdown when the ghosts arrive. But having three ghosts that can potentially hurt your VIPs might be hellish to deal with. But I mean, people were both frustrated or bored with the current state of the game, and we find those will be exciting, but at the same time will reduce the overall time you have in a mission, allowing you to focus on a mission or multitask. Because right now it's when the ghost appears, kill that ghost, then go back to your mission. So you're forced to do that. Now at least it's like, okay, you have your mission, but here comes this ghost. Now what do you do? So we want to give the player more experiences like that. So that will also be coming in next preview build. So there's a lot coming in the next preview build. So look forward to that. Almost got in 2 hours. To 2 hours. Voice line shield drop. Yeah. Also, going back to the voice line shield drop. I've just read that up. Okay. If you notice, there are voices in the game that do one-liners, and they all sound like they came from different people. That's because they are from different people with different voice recorders from different parts of the globe. And they're all, I don't know if any of them are professional voice actors. So most of them are not professional voice actors. So those voices you hear in the game that are screaming their lungs out when they get killed, those are all actually players like you. If you're watching this and you own Garrison Archangel, they're just like you. They bought the game and they heard that we just want to get one-liners from you and we'll put it in the game. And they answered that call, and now they're in the game. They're immortalized as random grunts getting killed. And if you want to be part of that, if you want to be part of that exclusive exclusive group, just send us your voice clips. Basically, the voice clips we want are short one-liners when people get killed, like oh no, I've been shot, oh no, I'm dead, or stuff like that, or just random death rattle sounds. You just send us your voice clips and we'll process it and put it into the game. So we also have a thread on our Steam discussion forum. If you can look at that, we actually put up a prompt there of what we want specifically. It's not a strict requirement. It's just a nice to have, actually. We only added this because we wanted to make it feel like, as a archangel destroying hordes of enemies, each enemy has like a different reaction to getting killed. So on top of being different archangels, they also have their own different voices. And we're glad to say we got a lot of different voice clips, but we're not averse to receiving more. So please do send your voice clips of yourselves getting killed or making silly one-liners before your mech explodes. That would be cool. Just send it to the email I provide below in this YouTube video, so it's there. Okay, next. I got this. Yes. No brag. Okay. Ramastra is basically the laser. Shh. No, we're not allowed to say that. I don't want to get in legal trouble. The Brahmastra is basically the laser mode of the Aegis garrison. Hope the stability region thing isn't as extreme as it was as of the last build. It might be extreme when fighting armor builds. We can always tweak that. Probably just keep the region pause, or keep the region pause but increase the region speed. Keep the increased region speed. There's a lot we can still do with it. It's not different. Thanks for the stream. Have a good night. Yeah, thanks for the stream. So sometimes we're cool cost modifiers in the game, because in the long run your souls just become stale from becoming stale and unspent. But options are nice. I guess we do 8 factions. Yeah, if you're running separatist, 8 ghosts will appear. We'll probably limit how many ghosts come in at a time. Maybe 3, maximum of 3. But like I said, that will reduce the overall artificial extension of missions, because you'll still have to deal with the mission phases. If it says you have to deal with 2 phases, you still have to deal with those 2 phases, just with extra ghosts running around. Area control and shafts, huge nightmare. Those missions really cringy bunch. Yeah, all are gonna call it. Yeah, you guys, it's 12:30. But anyway, it's also because we got a lot of updates, and I hope you guys will be excited for next week, because we'll be sure to release another weapon next week, and hopefully it's 2 weapons. I think people on the Discord have an idea of what those 2 weapons are. And there are 2 of those will probably be less of a surprise, I guess, than the 2 we released today. Well, the Brahmastra is probably not a surprise, because like I said, it was on a build that you can fight in the game. Like you can randomly encounter one of the builds in the game, and he already has the Brahmastra equipped. So you can. So it was actually in the game for the longest time now. So we just released it now for people to actually equip and use. And we actually tweaked it up a bit, because the Brahmastra on that particular build was actually like a prototype. So it's not been perfected and fixed yet. So this one is now more stable. So that actually matches the lore. So it's like that guy has the prototype version, and you guys are getting the mass-produced version, which has all its bugs hammered out. So yeah, I think that's enough. It's 12:30. Thank you guys for sticking around. I liked all the discussions, all the questions I received. Once again, on behalf of the Garrison Archangel team, I'd like to thank you guys. This was Paolo, the producer of Garrison Archangel, and this has been Wednesday Warzone. And at 12:30, you guys got me to stay up for 2 hours. It's over. See you next time. Sarah, bye bye.